What are the chances you're not coming back?
4.
Those kids, they don't have a father anymore.
3.
So you're gonna sit the boys down?
2.
And you're gonna prepare them for the fact you might not ever come home.
1.
First Man, the story of Neil Armstrong's journey to becoming the first man to step foot upon the moon and the personal experience of the mission. Directed by Academy Award winner Damien Chazelle, most well known for his work writing and directing Whiplash and the much-loved La La Land. Working alongside Chazelle was another Academy Award winner and cinematographer Linus Sandgren, the man responsible for the visual masterpiece La La Land and, in my opinion, First Man. In this video, we will be discussing and breaking down a short 30-second clip about the true story of Neil Armstrong, played by Ryan Gosling, losing control of the Agena spacecraft. In this clip, we will be looking at the 4 main cinematographic elements, which are camera, design, lighting, and sound, and how these certain techniques are used to connote and intensify the scene. Here is the 30-second clip.
Cycle the Agena.
Turning it on, turning it off.
Damien Chazelle wanted to shoot a lot of the film as point of view, so the audience could see what it was really like for Neil Armstrong. Throughout the film, Chazelle and Sandgren used some outstanding point of view shots. This sequence is no exception, as Neil Armstrong goes to move the joystick. To correct the spacecraft from being on a bank, we see 3 point of view angles within the first 10 seconds. These are the joystick, the altitude indicator, and the window looking outside. These 3 shots are connected and motivated by the close-up on Neil's eye movement, altogether creating a more immersive and personal feeling, quite literally putting the audience in the eyes of Neil Armstrong and seeing what it was really like. The change from mid to close-up with a shallow depth of field on Armstrong's eye also serves another purpose, which is that it shows his tense facial expressions as he concentrates on correcting the spacecraft. Overall, showing the intensity and precision needed. As the Agena begins to spin out of control, we see objects rapidly thrown on the roof. Another point of view from Armstrong's perspective, a fast pan following one of the objects crash into the wall, also revealing a concerned co-pilot, Dave Scott, played by Chris Abbott. This signifies the force and violent nature of the spin. Other techniques used to connote this was the camera movement. Looking at the shot of the altitude indicator, as the Agena begins to spin faster, the camera begins to shake, once again showing the aggression and danger of the scene. This can also be seen in the following shots, as the astronauts are pushed back into their seats, and the camera movement also reciprocates this, as the camera is quickly tilted, showing us the force and giving the action in the shot more of an impact to the audience. The most critical shot in this clip, in my opinion, is this one. Armstrong is looking outside the window trying to analyse the situation that is unfolding. The unique framing makes the picture resemble the altitude meter in the previous shot. On the left half of the frame, we see the interior of the spacecraft and half of Armstrong's face. On the right side of the frame, we can see a lot of negative space. As the shot develops, we are going from left to right, dipping into the black. This tells us, the audience, that the situation is not improving, and we are realising this as Armstrong does. Therefore, keeping with living the moment through his eyes, as Chazelle intended. Another key element to making this shot work is the lighting. Linus Sandgren uses a single source of light, motivated by the lamp in the far left of the screen, also known as a side lighting technique. This creates a dramatic effect, because as we see the situation go from bad to worse, the shift between the warm light on the left is taken over by the darkness on the right, once again telling the audience something bad is going to happen. We know this because of looking at Polachuk's Wheel of Emotions. Warm yellow colours are usually associated with positive emotions. Though black is not on the wheel, it is usually associated with negative connotations. Throughout the clip, there is a consistent theme of low-key lighting. This allows for more interesting shadows, which once again adds to the dramaticness of the clip. In this shot, we can see the motivation is coming from the 2 small lamps. Out of frame, we can see Sandgren has used other lights to fill areas of the cockpit, such as the roof, so we can get an idea of how claustrophobic the cabin was. We can also see that Sangren has decided not to add any fill light to the co-pilot, Dave Scott's face, to keep Neil Armstrong as the key subject in the frame. This is because Churchill wanted the film to be about Armstrong's personal experience of these events. Though not centre frame, we can clearly see the light channels our eyesight towards Armstrong. The use of low-key lighting also signifies the two astronauts are isolated. Lastly, the deliberate use of lens flares helped to get a sense of the forces shown in the clip. Once again, looking at the two small lamps beside the astronauts, we can see two small lens flares coming from both of them. And when we see the two astronauts push back into their seats, we can see the lens flares move around, adding an extra visual to enhance the look of the force, slamming them back. Another example of this can be seen later on in the film, as we see the exterior of the Agena spinning, emphasised by the lens flare. This allowed for the camera to be part of the movement, without cutting to a shot looking at the spacecraft, which would have detached us from the action. Now we're going to look at the design in the clip. Nathan Crowley, the production designer on First Man, is well known for trying to do as much as possible in camera. And this film is no exception. The spacecraft in which both actors are sitting is a full-scale replica, which is connected to a mechanical spinning arm and no use of a green screen, instead a large projector. This gives the scene a more genuine look and makes it easier for both actors to get a better idea of what's happening in real time. The same goes for the costumes in the picture. They too also had to look like the real thing. This is because the film is based on a true story, therefore it is important what is shown on camera is as close to the real thing as possible, so members of the audience don't get upset or disappointed if something in the frame wasn't accurate. Small props are also important to this clip to give the belief that they really are in space. Here we see a notebook and what seems to look like a communications device floating in the cockpit. Though it may be very subtle, it helps to add to the impression they're in space. The final element we're going to analyse is sound. First Man uses a technique usually found in horror films. This is where all the sounds are almost turned all the way down to zero to build tension, anxiety. Then when the action happens, the sounds are turned all the way up to increase the dramatic effect and intensity of the action. This is commonly known as the startle effect. We can see this technique being used here. As the Agena begins to spin and Neil Armstrong looks outside, the music and Foley audio levels begin to decrease, almost to the point of silence. But when the object suddenly hit the roof, the audio reciprocates this by returning at an increased level. Now it sounds much louder, adding a dramatical effect as intended. Other elements of sound are used to accentuate this. The more explicit examples would be the use of the alarm ringing.
Cycle the Agena.
Signifying to the audience something isn't right, or groaning noises made by Dave Scott, telling us of his discomfort. However, the sound department for First Man have also used implicit sound elements to heighten the emotion shown on screen, such as the use of a tea kettle, whistling to replicate the rising pressure of the situation, or the metal creaks, also representing the stress. Once all of these sounds are put together, there is a significant difference, allowing much more emotion to be felt in the short 30 seconds. Thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, make sure to watch First Man.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.